According to research, about 9 in 10 people actually give up on their goals simply because it gets to a point where they feel like success is several miles away from them and they are not going to reach it in any way, shape or form. However, in today's video, I'm going to share the 9 tested success principles from 2 success teachers. That is 1, Napoleon Hill, and then 2, Brian Tracy. These 2 people are my favorites. They've actually had so much impact in my life, and today I felt like I should just sit down, draft something, and then share the 9 time tested principles that can help you and drive you subsequently towards the attainment of your goals. And so if you're new here, my name is Nana. I hold a master's degree in business finance, and on this channel we discuss everything personal finance and personal development. And so without further ado, we'll just move to the first point, and that is definiteness of purpose. So according to Napoleon Hill, if you truly want to become successful in life, there's one thing that you need to know. You need to be clear in your mind what you really want. You have to define your goals. Sit down and then ask yourself, what is the one thing that I really want to do or I really want to have in life? And to what extent would that have some level of impact, or to what extent would that change every single thing that you're struggling with currently? And so the easiest way to go about this is to ask yourself, what is the one thing that actually gives some level of joy or grants me several happiness along the line if I'm going to work, or probably I'm dealing with anything in life in general? So if you're able to find that one thing, then you try as much as possible to break it down into tiny actionable steps, and that will subsequently give you some form of direction when it comes to where you're going generally in life. It is widely said and believed that when a man knows not the direction that he sails, no tempest or no wind at all is favorable to him or her. And so sit down and then ask yourself, what is the one goal that is so important to me? And don't have any doubt in your mind. I've met several people, friends, family, who sit down sometimes and say that money is not everything. But if you're to check the daily activities or the things that they do on a daily, you'd realize that about 80 to 90% of every single thing that they do, or the worries that they have on a daily, has to do with money. So be clear in your mind. Do you really want money or not? If you really want money, then try and ask yourself the further question. What is the one thing that I can do to actually make sure that I move every single day, or probably on a weekly or a monthly basis, towards attaining my financial freedom or goals that I've set financially for myself? And that is the starting point of any great achievement that you may have in life. And so once we've defined our goals, Napoleon Hill goes on to actually prescribe one thing, and that is to back that goal with actions, and not just any actions, but with a strong desire. He believes that desire is the starting point of all great achievement. And so if you really want to become successful or to attain anything in life, you need to back your goals up with desire. And that is not just any desire or wishful thinking. You have to back it up, convince yourself beyond reasonable doubt that come what may, you'll still push yourself towards the attainment of those goals. This brings us to the third success principle, and that is self-discipline. And as easy as it sounds, it is one of the most difficult things that you can ever master in life. Brian Tracy calls it the key to success. And so if you truly want to actually achieve success, there's one thing that you need to know. You have to convince yourself, and then more importantly, be able to control your emotions. So try and then know when to do what, but more importantly, do it even when you don't even feel like doing it. And that is extremely difficult. Today, for instance, if I'll be completely honest, I didn't really feel like shooting, and there's been like several days where I don't feel like shooting YouTube videos, editing, designing thumbnails and all of that. I really sometimes feel like doing it. But then with the self-discipline, you go on to ask yourself, what would this look like if I'm to actually give in or not actually push myself to get things done today? And that is where self-discipline actually comes in. If you really want to become self-disciplined, try as much as possible and then position your goals in spaces that you can never forget or ever stop thinking about. So for instance, I have a habit tracker, and that habit tracker is always close to me. It is in my bedroom. So every single time that I wake up or I'm going to sleep, I see the number of videos that I've got to shoot, edit, and then post them on YouTube. And that is 100 videos. Currently, we've done 85 videos this year so far. And we've got 3-4 months till the end of the year. So hopefully, holding all other factors constant, we might be able to shoot, edit, and then post 100 videos. That is if I don't give up on my self-discipline. But once again, it's not an easy thing to do. And so you need to find time and then try as much as possible to master that. And Brian Tracy believes that that is the key to success, and nothing can beat it to it. This brings us to the fourth principle, and that is the principle of continuous learning. So according to Napoleon Hill and Brian Tracy, if you truly want to see success in life, then you need to subject yourself to some form of education. And at this point, anytime that I talk about it, people just relate to, just formal education. However, you can start with apprenticeships, even including, listening to podcasts or reading books, listening to audiobooks, anything that is likely to actually psych you or push you a step psychologically towards the attainment of your goals. And that is one thing that anyone can do. Of course, with social media, there are several other free helpful content out there. For instance, you can follow the Diary of a CEO, and trust me when I tell you that the value that podcast actually delivers is on a different level. So you can start from there, but continuously ensure that you're learning, and that would actually ensure also subsequently that you're better than whoever you were previously. And that also ensures that or positions you to attain any greater height in life that you may set for yourself to achieve. Now, with that said, we move on to the fifth principle, and that is the principle of the Mastermind Alliance. And this is one thing that Napoleon Hill highlights and is so dear to his heart. He believes that the people that you spend time with and the people that you surround yourself with will likely have a massive impact on your ability to become successful in life or otherwise. And so simply, you have to choose your circle wisely. Choose people that share or, have similar goals to whatever you have. And they will subsequently ensure that they push and challenge you to do more in order to attain more in life. However, on the other hand, if you're actually going to surround yourself with people that will just say bad things about you and try to demoralize you, you're never going to see the realization of your goals. And so try and then pick partners or actually roll with people that actually believe in your goal, or people that contribute marginally towards the attainment of whatever goal that you have in life generally. This brings us to the sixth principle, and that is decisiveness. So according to Napoleon Hill, after studying hundreds of men, successful men and then rich people, he came to a realization that the major difference between the rich and the poor is that the rich ultimately are very decisive in nature. So whenever they think about a goal or they have any conception in their mind or in their hearts, they are very quick to moving into action. They actually action those things out relatively faster than poor people. Poor people, on the other hand, are actually held back by imposter syndrome or by fear or risk aversion altogether. And so they do not actually go out to exercise their faith, or they do not actually go out to action out their plans altogether, simply because they fear to fail and they fear the criticism, more importantly, that comes with failure. And so if you truly want to achieve anything greater in life, there's one thing that you need to know, that you have to be decisive. You need to act fast and then learn to adjust your sails in the midst of all the tempest. And so move on ultimately, but try as much as possible to correct things as time goes on. So for instance, when I started this YouTube channel, if you're to compare this video that I'm shooting currently to the first video that I shot, you can see a very massive difference. But the truth is, I've really marginally improved myself when it comes to video editing, when it comes to scripting, when it comes to delivery, and all these things. And that is enough proof that if you really start and then adjust things as time goes on, it makes it much more easier for you to actually drive yourself subsequently towards the attainment of whatever goal that you may have in life. That brings us to the seventh principle, and that is persistence. And that is, one of the most difficult things, if I'll be completely honest, that you need to master when it comes to attaining your goals. And I'm really keen on this, and I've taken my time to actually express myself, because I know how difficult it is for people to actually go through their goals and to be consistent and persistent, but more importantly, patient enough to stick around until they see results when it comes to their goals altogether and the pursuit of same. It's not easy, if I'll be completely honest. All the great people that you see out there, all the celebrities, all the people that have realized and achieved so many things in life, actually did one thing. They stuck around for as long as they could in order to see the results actually coming out of every single thing that they put in. And so life generally is all about that. If you're to consistently contribute towards a certain direction, you're surely going to see results thereof. But what really happens is that most people do not really stick around long enough to see the results. And it's because it's very, very difficult to actually consistently do one thing, consistently trying so hard, putting in all the effort and all of that. And that is why people do not generally achieve their goals altogether. And it's sad, because it's not easy. That's all I can say when it comes to consistency. But if you're able to actually ensure and to make sure that you're self-disciplined and motivated to carry on, definitely success is inevitable. And so with that said, the only principle that can actually fuel your consistency and your persistence is the principle of applied faith and positive thinking. And these are two things that you can actually exercise, and that would help you to ensure that you're always consistent every single time when it comes to the pursuit of your goals. And so this is how you exercise it. You need to talk to yourself, be that only voice in your head trying to convince yourself beyond reasonable doubt that come what may, you're still not going to throw in the towel, and that several other goals, several other people, and even lives do depend on your goals at that point. And so giving in doesn't only apply or doesn't only affect you personally. It transcends beyond you personally to other people as well. Because for instance, for a goal like reducing the carbon footprints of human beings, that was the goal that was first conceived in the mind of Elon Musk. But now we're all benefiting from that, in that now there are several other electric vehicles out there cutting down on carbon emissions and slowing down global warming altogether in climate change. And so that was a single goal. But if you had given up on that, it would have taken the world probably several decades to actually come together and then find several ways and means of tackling the problem of global warming and of climate change. And so that is what you need to know. Try and then convince yourself beyond reasonable doubt, and do that with the power of positive affirmation. Talk to yourself, try and then tell yourself that you're the best you can ever find, and you're just on an expedition to find an even better version that wouldn't struggle to attain your goals and to become successful in life generally. That brings us to the ninth and the last principle, and that is the principle of priorities and of time management. So according to Brian Tracy, one of the key things that you can do is to actually define your priorities. And so ask yourself the simple question at this point: is that thing that I'm actually pursuing important? And is it urgent? If it is important and it is urgent, then you actually have to pay attention to it. If it's not important or it's not urgent, then you don't actually have to spend any time on it. So try as much as possible to manage your time, and then more importantly, focus that time and any other resource towards the attainment of your goals. And they believe that with all these things and with all these principles combined and mastered, and try as much as possible to take one at a time. Because one thing with habit is that you have to learn it, but marginally make improvements as time goes on. So try and then start with one principle, and then after maybe like 3 months or 4 months or even half a year, try and then adapt the next principle. And they believe that with all these things combined, you're actually bound for one thing, and that is success. And so if you found value with this video, kindly smash the like button. It really helps with the algorithm. And then consider subscribing, because we are all on the journey towards success, and I'll consistently do everything within my possible best to edit, to research, and then shoot videos that can help you along the way. And so thank you for spending time with us, and see you in the next video.